First of all, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Doxy.
Here.
Anastasio.
Here.
Bhatia.
Here.
Washburn.
Here.
Venturini.
Here.
Hewitt.
Here. Presentation from RCEDC.
Good evening. Thank you all for having me. So I'm Laura Million. I am the Deputy Director with Racine County Economic Development Corporation. I think there's slides to share. There we go. This evening I'm going to share an overview of RCDC's activities for the first half of 2023 with you in Racine County as well as in the Village of Mount Pleasant. And I'll also just share some of the trends that we're seeing as we're working with businesses that might be helpful for you to understand. So far this year, we've assisted 38 businesses with projects, over $1 billion worth of private investment and capital investment. As you might imagine, the Microsoft project is the lion's share of that, but we also are really excited about some of the smaller businesses that we've assisted with grants and loans. In terms of market trends, as we have conversations with businesses, both those existing ones and those outside of the area, looking at the community, we've seen several things that are affecting sort of the volume of activity with our work. In the last several years, we've just had so much activity because of the COVID funds and things, but we're seeing those funds have sort of disappeared, and so we're going back to pre-COVID levels, and I think that's just helpful to sort of understand. We continue to see talent retention and attraction is really important to our businesses. Many of them are not hiring at the same feverish pace that they were, so retention is becoming more important, though they are taking those opportunities to hire people when they do find people that are qualified. In terms of investment, it's being affected and slowed by just high construction costs, inflation numbers, and also interest rates. So uncertainty in the market, we're seeing a lot of businesses, they'd like to do some things, but they're taking a lot more time to make those decisions just because of some of those underlying conditions. On the business attraction side, we continue to see a high level of activity that's being driven by having sites that are shovel-ready and buildings available. We are seeing speculative industrial buildings sort of level off that activity, but those buildings that are still under construction and coming onto the market, they're getting a lot of looks because they provide opportunities for businesses that are considering the area an easy pathway to come into the community. And then talent availability, just as on the existing business side, is super important on businesses coming into the community. They want to know what type of talent is available here as well as wages, and what that pipeline looks like for the future. So there are 6 goals or strategies we work under in our contract, and I'll review where we are against each of those. So on the goal number 1, business retention and expansion, we have a goal of assisting 69 businesses and facilitating $21.3 million in financial assistance. So far, we've assisted 34 businesses under this area. This is a lot of where our financial assistance, our loans and grants are. We have $7.6 million in financial assistance, which is a little behind where we'd like to be. Some of that is a timing issue of approval of funds coming from SBA. And then we've done outreach of 185 outreach visits for the first half of the year. And we've also continued a couple of leadership training programs, our CEO Roundtable and our Living as a Leader program. And then on our goal number 2 around business attraction and startups, our goal is to complete 100 outreach activities. We're about 50% through for the year at mid-year, and then attract 4 companies or projects and facilitate 2 residential developments. So we're at 3 businesses attracted for the first half, which includes Microsoft Data Center Campus, Minute Arrow, which is also in Mount Pleasant. They are drone testing here, as well as Just Brew It, which is a small business out in Union Grove. And then on the housing development side, Leo Living, moving forward in Mount Pleasant, is also, we've been able to provide some support around that. Overall, on the housing side, we are tracking about 4,000 housing units that are moving forward since we started really focusing on residential development in 2018. On the talent attraction side, I mentioned very important both for our existing businesses and new businesses coming in. We're focused on promoting the community, making sure we're working with our higher ed institutions and engaging with our HR professionals. A lot of our work is focused around greaterracinecounty.com. One of the things that we were able to do this year was to secure a grant from WEDC, their talent co-op grant, which allowed us to do some updates to our website. We have a new job board, which allows us to have better understanding of where individuals are coming from as they're coming to us from our digital ad campaign, which we're running in Northern Illinois. And we've also done 3 videos with local employers featuring their employees, which is a nice feature. So we worked with Modine Manufacturing, Twin Disc, and also Speedy Packaging. And so if you haven't seen those videos, I'd encourage you to look at our greaterracinecounty.com website. We've had over 730,000 unique visitors to the website and had lots of good traction with our job board as well. One thing that we are doing, sort of moving forward with this, WEDC has announced another grant, and we're in process of trying to leverage local dollars to be able to move forward with continuation of this program in 2024. Other things to note on our talent attraction side, we have a familiarization tour that we did in Western Racine County to help our HR professionals sort of better understand our community, have that upfront, up-close look. We're doing a similar one on Eastern Racine County on October 12th. And then we have some other activities that we've completed focusing on interns. So when we had interns here this summer, we held an event with CABA, the Kenosha Area Business Alliance, our counterpart in Kenosha County, bringing those interns together that were at our local employers to better help them see what our community is like and have that interaction together and see the other young faces. And then we also supported Modine on a pre-internship event. So they were working on trying to fill that pipeline of individuals for their engineering program, and so we provided some support there. Entrepreneurship is a new area of focus for RCEDC. We certainly have touched it over time, but not necessarily in depth. And what we have found during COVID, we had such an inundation of individuals requesting assistance and technical assistance that we just felt it was important to pull our partners together and see if there were other areas of need that maybe we weren't hitting. So what we've done is we have assembled them. We're meeting on a quarterly basis to better make sure that we're talking to each other and doing referrals back and forth, and also added materials to RCDC's website. So if you're a new business, a startup, or even existing business, you can better find some of those supportive services, such as the Small Business Development Center at UW Parkside. It was on our website before, but we've got a specific area that you can find them a little bit more easily. The other area that we're finding, especially as Microsoft has come forward, and we saw this even with Foxconn, there's a focus on disadvantaged businesses and getting them involved in the project. So we're talking with our partners about how do we support businesses in getting their certifications. So whether that's a women-owned business, a minority-owned business, or even a veteran-owned business, how do we get them more involved? So more to come on that in the coming weeks. So on the community development, this is really focused on individual communities, their needs. And in Mount Pleasant, that's supporting TID 5 development as well as engaging with multifamily development. I've included an overview of what we've done specifically in Mount Pleasant. We've had business call visits, more in-depth visits with 10 businesses in Mount Pleasant. We've had 15 technical assists, so those softer assists where we might refer somebody out or have a conversation about different resources for them that maybe RCEDC can't provide. We've had 37 prospects that have looked at Mount Pleasant. 19 of them continue to be active, and we continue to just be engaged overall with our developer and site selectors about opportunities here. We also worked with RIDE in Racine to be able to do a public transportation survey for the first half of the year, which was very helpful to help inform them about what employers' needs are for their employees around public transportation. So 9 successful projects in Mount Pleasant for the first half of the year. 5 of those were matching grant program dollars from Racine County. Those funds allowed those businesses to support them with marketing, training, and consulting needs. One that maybe you haven't seen that I haven't mentioned already is Lavaggio Express, which is on Green Bay Road. We've assisted them with some equipment loan, which we're excited about that project moving forward. The last area is around our marketing efforts in Racine County. So a lot of focus on just promoting RCEDC's resources, promoting Racine County for business investment, and then, of course, on the talent attraction side. So lots of activity there, 7 events hosted, lots of newsletters, lots of posts on our social media, as well as lots of videos. So that's the overview of our marketing activities. I will note one thing I did not include in the packet, and I just want to extend an invitation here. RCEDC on October 10th has our Leadership Council meeting. The Water Council will be joining us. They received a National Science Foundation grant that is focused on resiliency planning for around water and electricity. So if there are businesses or individuals who are interested in learning more about that topic and what the opportunities are there, you're happy to join us on October 10th at the IMET Center. So information is available on RCEDC's website. So that's my overview. I want to open it up to any questions.
Laura, thank you. Are there any questions for Laura?
Mr. Chairman, I do have one. First, in your entrepreneurship program, Laura, I'm sure you can maybe think of where I'm going with this, but I'm wondering if Ed from Pine Acres Popcorn was involved in that.
We are certainly looking at opportunities to include Ed in that, so we've had conversations with Ed.
Because he's just as a note, he's a professor of entrepreneurship at Gateway and opened a wonderful business in Union Grove, and very thoughtful planning, and a lot of years went behind it. And I'm really glad that you gave us, just a comment, Laura, that you gave us your Mount Pleasant specific. That was very helpful and makes us feel really good. What is Lavaggio Express? You said you're excited about it.
Yep, so it's actually, it's a laundry service, so you can drop off your laundry and they will do it and fold it for you and return it to you.
Oh, no wonder you're very excited. I like that idea too. So not a dry cleaner, it's typical laundry.
Yeah, it's just laundry, so they'll actually do wash and fold. Or you can go in and do self-service, but they'll also do wash and fold for you.
They do it too. Oh, that's very cool. Okay,
Yep.
good. Thank you.
Thank you. Ram?
Chairman, Laura, first of all, thank you. Great report. You are a great partner, and we appreciate that. My one question is under under Mount Pleasant specific activities. Can you talk a little bit more about the public transportation survey? What did it entail, and what's the outcome of that? Where are we going with that?
Right, so maybe what I should do is bring back some more information next time or send you some stuff around that. So what we did the beginning of the year, as RIDE is looking at other areas of where maybe service needs to be extended, or just making sure that they have an understanding of what employers, how they're maybe adjusting to times around public transportation. We sent out a survey, included Mount Pleasant businesses in that, and trying to understand where maybe there's opportunities for extension or maybe some adjustments. And I'd actually need to check back in with Trevor Young to sort of understand what kinds of specific action they've taken on that. But we've found it was very helpful just to better understand, what the needs are of existing employers around that.
Yeah, one of the reasons I'm asking is that myself and my colleague, Trustee Doxey, we also are the commissioners on the Racine Transit Commission.
Okay.
So anything that has to do with public transportation expansion, it is of interest to us. And my last comment is, moving forward, what can we do more for you? How can the village support you more to achieve your goals and to go beyond that?
Yeah, so let me talk to Trevor and see if we can get the report to you, and it would be helpful for you.
Thank you again.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Laura.
Yeah.
Anybody else? If not, we'll move on.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Laura.
Thank you.
Public comment, do we have anybody sign up?
We do, Mr. President, and I'll just remind members of the public are welcome to provide comments on any matter. We have some comment forms filled out, but if you'd like to speak and haven't filled out a comment form, please do too and give it to the clerk. Comment forms are in the back of the room. Please use the microphone when you step up to the podium and state your name and address for the public record. This is being recorded, and comments are limited to 3 minutes. And the first one we have here is Joyce Mills. Miles, could you come up to the microphone, please? And just name and address, please.
Joyce Miles, 5929 Taylor Avenue, Mount Pleasant. I'm new to the area somewhat, and this is my first meeting here. Not to undermine the proposal that was put forward, the information, but my concern is I'm seeing a lot of construction going on, which everybody's happy about. The part that I'm a little concerned about is I see we've got a lot of parking areas in malls that are not being fully utilized anymore because shopping is more online, I guess. And yet, everywhere we look, there's global concerns about flooding and everything else that's affecting all of our lives. And I'm wondering, with all this new development, are we putting anything in place to help so that our land, our farmland, everything that's worked as sponges and filters all these years is now concrete and asphalt, which does not let the water seep through. And so we have overuse of our sewage and our runways of water. Our streets are torn up by a lot of this. And it seems like we all focus on the new, but we've got a lot of old that is damaging, I think, our quality of life in the long run. Maybe not directly in the short haul, but if we're not proactive, we'll just look like, companies did back when the Rust Belt era kind of went away and we were stuck with what was left behind.
Thank you. Next, we have Ron Painter.
Good evening. My name is Ron Painter. I reside at 6018 Taylor Avenue. Taylor Avenue is represented pretty well tonight. My wife is here also, Mary Elizabeth. My concern tonight is prompted by activity last Friday, approximately 3 o'clock, traversing Taylor Avenue in the 6000 block, headed east toward my residence. I was run off the road practically. I had to avoid a Toyota Tundra who was coming at me head on. The reason for this is the purpose of my visit here again. Adjacent to my home is the Renaissance School, otherwise known as Lumen Schools, at 6150 Taylor Avenue. They have, this year and last year, a policy for the students' parents to park along our road on Taylor Avenue. Taylor Avenue does not have a shoulder. Taylor Avenue from approximately the condominiums at Taylor Harbor all the way west to where it curves around and heads into KR is a double yellow line. No passing is permitted. However, people, of course, need to get where they're going. You have 600 feet with cars parked on the north side of the road that obstruct the highway. This is Highway County X. I realize it's a county highway, but it's also a village road. And unfortunately, it's a very, very unsafe situation. Friday was just one incident of many. We've had over the last 2 years several minor fender benders. The police department from Mount Pleasant has been there at least 3 occasions formally that I know of, because we instituted them, most recently Friday. I'm told that they can't do anything about it. One of the police officers suggested that I go out and do traffic control. That was after I suggested that other construction firms, etc., always have somebody out there to make sure that there isn't collision potential on a one-way road. Most recently, Brown Road again was a good example of that. Well, it's gone on a bit too long, and frankly, it's, I think, time that the authorities become involved directly to make sure that we do not have a serious accident or fatality. It is that bad. The speed limit's posted at 35. Most of the traffic goes by here at 45 to 50 eastbound, sometimes a little less than that westbound. The Renaissance School and 600 feet to the east is all 35 and a double yellow. Let's see here. There's no shoulder, and they continue to pass. People are just impatient. They have to get to work. They're headed west, etc. As I say, we've made a couple formal complaints, and they really haven't gone anywhere. There's another side issue that goes with this too. We're not able, on some
So
occasions.
your time is disappearing?
I beg your pardon? Oh,
Your
I see that.
time
Yeah,
is
I've got about
disappearing.
15 seconds. We also would like the consideration of parking in front of our driveway to cease too. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next, we have Don Trudeau.
My name's Don Trudeau at 5952 Taylor Avenue. I'm going to follow up with what Ron talked about, because we're both here at the same problem. Before he had to stop here, he was going to say the side issue with this, what he said before was pretty much what I've witnessed as far as people running down the wrong side of the road, people swerving back and forth when the traffic is backed up. The people that are in line to go west, they're not going to wait for that traffic of 600 to 800 feet. So they get antsy, and then what they do is they come over on the left lane, off of the double yellow, and hit the gas, go flying on down to try to clear that line of traffic. It's just a matter of time before somebody gets, seriously hurt. The side issue he was talking about was now it's become, I don't know if there's more cars, but they're constantly blocking our driveway. Both him and I just recently, we put signs like, please do not, I would buy these signs, 24-hour active driveway, please do not block the driveway. And it's like, screw you, we're just gonna go up and we'll block the driveway. And on top of that, like today, my wife says, I watch the guy just comes out, throws all his McDonald's and dumps his ashtray out. And it's all in my driveway. They throw their garbage in the ditch. They have no courtesy whatsoever for anybody that happens to be property owners. So, and we're saying that it's not just a traffic accident. I'm getting deprived of use of my property. I got lost mail a couple weeks ago. I got emails saying, I'm sorry we couldn't deliver your mail because there was traffic blocked up. I don't see any reason, because I went over and talked to the principal over there, and what I'm asking, I think Ron is asking, is the same thing. We would like to have this situation where they're blocking the traffic disabled. The school says we've asked people, we give them notes and they do it, but we have no control over what people do. And I understand that. You ask them, be courteous, but they don't. They just figure they own the highway, and if you go out and yell at them, they just flip you off. I say, don't block my driveway, and they just, they flip me a bird, cool down, and they start yelling back at you, But there's an adjacent property, and I asked them, they're right next to the school, the Renaissance School, there's a big, gigantic grass field. And Lumina or Lumen Schools or something, I guess they got 600 schools. They don't really have a school board that I can contact as such. I was hoping that maybe as part of the village here could work on our behalf to try to, coax these people along to possibly lease that land. They say, it's just grass. They wouldn't have to even pave it. It's just a temporary staging area. It's kind of like when you go out to the county park, county fairgrounds, when they use the outdoor fields, all the people park out there in the fields. I think the people that own that property would probably be more than happy to lease it to them on some kind of a basis for a school. I just don't have the power to go over and do it, and I don't know, maybe you're going to say you don't either, but I think on both of our behalves, and then everybody else that might be affected by it, from not getting in an accident, is to have you people, at least work with the police to get the thing done. I've asked the police department, they put a speed zone thing up the Racine County Sheriff. Now, the Mount Pleasant said, hey, we really ones we patrol the area. You shouldn't have been dealing with the county. I said, well, I haven't been able to get a hold of you to do anything. And the county was willing to put a speed, one of those radar signs. It was unbelievable how I could actually go out to my mailbox, get the mail out without having somebody come zipping by me at 50 miles an hour. They come down that hill. And it's like when they're doing the speed limits, it's like, ooh, they go by, Otherwise, it's just like a straightaway. And it's just not during the school as far as the speeding goes. It is all day, all night. Nobody does the speed limit on. They're all doing at least 45 miles an hour. And we get some cycles down there that are doing 100. I mean, at night they're going down. We would like to be able to get you to ask the police department to do some saturation
Sir,
spots.
I'm going to interrupt you a little bit. Our police chief is listening to your conversation right now at this very minute.
Okay.
Maybe if you have a couple of minutes after the meeting, I don't know if he has any other comments that he would like to make, but you can step out into the hallway and speak to him possibly, and your comments directly to him, both of you gentlemen.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's just that sometimes if you know what the problem is, maybe you've never heard of this before. I don't know.
No, we've heard. But-
Well, if you've heard, then now you've heard it again. So this
Thank
time
you.
I've taken the time to come up and address you personally. I've tried to contact the individual people on the thing, but sometimes you get answered, sometimes you don't. I mean, you're busy, and I just understand that, we're two people amongst the whole thing here, but we really are. I mean, we have a selfish motivation because we want to have some peace and quiet where we live, and that's where we live. And if any of you people had to deal with what we deal with, I think you'd be saying the same tune. But
Thank
from
you.
a safety angle, we really do believe that this, why put a double yellow if you let people pass and never stop them? And then the police, Mount Pleasant Police, did say they were going to go over there, but I saw one deputy that I stopped and talked to. He was parked in the not the church parking lot, but the hospital parking lot over there. I thought he was going to be over there monitoring it. He said, yeah, I came over there, but there was no cars. Well, they have to know when they're there. And
Sir, we're running out of your time again, and we will move on for our meeting.
Okay.
Our police chief is listening to your conversation. Maybe he would like to talk to you out in the hall afterwards, or give you some comments or something then too.
We're open for suggestions.
He's right out there.
Okay.
Where's the guy? Where is he?
Thank you.
Mr. President, he's right back there.
Oh, okay.
Thank you, sir. Mr. President, that's the only comment forms we have. Did anyone else want to make a comment during public comment? If not, then we can move on to the consent agenda.
I can't do that. Okay.
Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion to adopt the items in the consent agenda.
Thank you.
Second.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Nancy?
All right, Mr. President, Mr. Chairman, I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 25-2023, authorizing the village to offer public infrastructure connection charge payment installation options to qualifying property owners along Kinsey Avenue as presented.
Second.
You might want to have Tony Byer explain the...
Tony?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, this resolution is related to the recently installed Kinsey Avenue water main. As most of you probably remember, it's about a 700-foot stretch of rural roadway that we converted to urban, put a water main underneath it while we were at it. And because we didn't have a 50% majority that wanted water, we decided we won't actively assess this. It'll be subject to connection charges at the time people decide to connect to that water main. So part of our special assessment ordinance allows for basically an installment option for those folks that do decide to connect within 1 year of the water main being accepted. And at the same time, it kind of acts as an incentive to get people to connect if they take advantage of that payment plan.
So this was discussed at, in our utility meeting, and the reality is that we do have several property owners that do want to go ahead and connect. And then we have those that are thinking about it, and but the road connection was, and the water relay and looping the water was very important. So this is a great motion, and Tony did a great job of researching our code as well as understanding what the options were to offer to the neighbors there, and giving them the payment installment options, I think will encourage more to hook up. And because they will have a longer period of time, we can hope that that happens anyway, right, Tony? But in any event, we approved that at the committee level unanimously.
Any comments, Tony?
No, if there's any questions, I can certainly field those.
No question.
Roll call?
Doxy,
Aye.
Anastasio,
Aye.
Bhatia,
Aye.
Washburn,
Aye.
Venturini,
Aye.
and Hewitt. Hewitt?
Aye.
Thank you.
Chairman Hewitt, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.